Good evening or good morning to whenever you're watching this video. Smoking some Marlin Flakes, some Virginia and Perique with a little bit of Cavendish in there. And I was going to do a video for the aspiring pipe smoker and or the beginner pipe smokers and go over how to pack and light a pipe. But I got to thinking, before you can pack and light a pipe, you got to put a tobacco in there. I have suggested a tobacco that you buy, but which was Lane 1Q. It's a very good. It's the number one selling tobacco probably in the world. And it's kind of in the middle between just a tobacco and an aromatic. It's definitely an aromatic, but it doesn't bite. It's going to be easy on you. But you're eventually going to want to pack your pipe with something that's not an aromatic, just to try it out. And I thought I'd go through different types of tobaccos. After that, we'll get into packing line of pipe. I'm going to try to keep this short. The two most common tobaccos or major tobaccos fall in one of two groups: Virginia and Burley. You can have a mixture of both, and you can have them both in a certain blend, but the major component of each blend is either going to be a Virginia or a Burley. We'll start with Virginias. First grown in Virginia, or discovered, or I don't know. It had to be Virginia where they grew it. But it's a sweeter tobacco. It has more sugar. Has a more sugar content than Burleys do. It is grown all over the world now, and the number one producer in the United States is my home state, North Carolina. Virginia's, depending on how mature it is or how it's processed or aged, it can fall into several different categories. You have bright Virginias, which is a lemon Virginia or a yellow Virginia. It is tons of citrus notes. You have orange Virginia, which has citrus notes and a little bit of sweetness. Then you have red Virginias. My favorite. It has more sweetness, more hay, and grass flavors, which is, kind of if you've ever smelled a wet hay or a freshly cut lawn, kind of that kind of thing. Not like going out in your yard and getting grass and putting it in your pipe and smoking it. It's just that has that flavor. But it also starts getting into the caramels and the breads, the sweet breads, sugars. And then you get into the stoved Virginias, which gets even more heavier or complex and has more of a raisiny flavor. After that, we get into Burleys. Burley's is the number one tobacco for cigarettes and aromatics. The white Burleys, which is like a bright Virginia, is a young Burley, which is used as doesn't have a whole lot of flavor to it, but it absorbs flavor, so you can use it for cherry blends or chocolate blends or whatever blend, because it will absorb those flavors. Because it doesn't have a high sugar content, it has a high nicotine content. So for blends that you want that vitamin in, that little boost of kick with that nicotine, you're going to want some Burleys in it. A couple of my favorite blends actually has Burley in it. One I cannot get anymore due to it being so popular. It's never in stock, which is Stonehaven. It is a Virginia Burley. And then my one that's taken its place now is Peterson University Flake. It is a very good, and it actually ages very well. Going back to Virginia's age very well. Get them out of that tin, put them in a ball jar, a mason jar, seal that thing up, put it in a dark area for 2 or 3 years, and that tobacco is going to sing hallelujah. So Burleys are used. Well, let's go through the flavor profile. The more the Burley is processed or aged or whatever, it gets more of a nutty or a buttery nutty flavor. Is the best way I can describe it. There are tons of Burley fans out there that's what they smoke. You may fall into the Burley category. I fall into the Virginia. After that, we get into Periques. Perique is a special tobacco grown only in Louisiana, and it is processed by fermentation in oak barrels and pressure, and it is aged, and it brings a spice. Most of your most popular blends are Virginia Perique blends, which is called a vapor. It's a vapor. Virginia Perique, Scudo, Orlick Golden Slice, Elizabethan mixture. I think St. James Flake. There are tons out there. Marlin Flake from Rattray's. Anniversary Cake from Hearth and Home are Virginia Perique blends. And it has it'll give you a little peppery spice onto it, but it'll also have figs and raisins and plum, just stewed fruits, aged fruit flavor. Very good tobacco. Then you get into a tobacco that, well, about 3 or 4 years ago, we thought Perique was going away. And so they started taking Burleys and they started treating it like a Perique, where they would, ferment it. And we call that Kentucky. Dark-fired Kentucky. And it's sort of like a Perique. It's a spice blend. But it's not really Perique. Another one is called Latakia. Now, Latakia is an Oriental tobacco. So I'm going to flip over and go forward to Orientals, which is not really grown in the Orient that I know of, maybe Ancient Orient, but it's Turkish tobacco. A very small leaf, and it has a different flavor profile. You can get some florals out of that. You can get some fruitiness. It's a great light condiment tobacco in a lot of Virginia blends I smoke. It's used in English blends. But then when you take that Oriental tobacco and you put it in a barn and you light little fires and you smoke it for 2 days, it gets black and it becomes a very smoky. Probably the third most popular tobacco is Latakia. A lot of people you hear on YouTube call it Latakia. Latakia, I say Latakia, others say Latakia. I don't know which one's correct. I use Latakia. So, Latakia has a very smoky flavor, a very fall-like flavor. Burning leaves, campfire. It's a great spice blend, and it's used in every English blend that you see. It says English tobacco. It's got Latakia in it. I started out with aromatics, went to Latakia blends, and then I found Virginia. Now I can't smoke Latakia blends. I don't like it. It just doesn't agree with me, especially in the summertime. I may try some in the fall when I want that little woodsy flavor, but I usually mix it in with some my straight Virginias. I don't like a lot of it, but there are people that are totally devoted to English Latakia blends. So just because I don't like it doesn't mean you won't like it. I think I've covered pretty much all the basics. You've heard me say Cavendish. Cavendish is a process of how they make a tobacco. And it's not just one type of tobacco they can do that to. You can Cavendish any of the tobacco. So I don't really consider that a type of tobacco. I will tell you that if it says Cavendish on it, more than likely you need to smoke it really, really slow because it'll burn your mouth. Most of your over-the-counter tobaccos that are cherry or chocolate or vanilla are Cavendish tobaccos. So, I hope that covers it for you for tobaccos. There's tons of more information out there. That's basically just the basics. Next, we're going to take whatever tobacco you want to choose, and we're going to put it in our pipe, and we're going to light it, tamp it, smoke it. Hopefully, this will be a little bit quicker video next time, but a lot of information to give you. But it did keep this one under 15 minutes. God bless all. I hope it's been helpful.